Well, son of a gun. I don't know if it's working or not. Let me see. I have no idea. Hey, hi Renee. Can you guys hear me? Like, I had all kinds of trouble. Like, I'm not on my regular camera, I'm not on my regular microphone. I am definitely on. I'm definitely on some the camera's microphone. I guess I could turn it up a little bit. Is it low? Hi, Winter. Man, sorry about making you guys wait. That sucks so bad. Yeah, so sounds fine. Good. Can barely hear me. Huh. Low. Okay, I might be able to fix that. Let me see. I want to raise the gain. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now? Probably can hear me way too good, huh? How's that? Sound better? Testing 1, 2. How's it sound now? I tweaked it a little. I don't know if I could tweak it any more than that. It says it's redlining, actually. You could probably hear my fan and my air conditioner, and you can't hear me, right? Yeah, so, I said I was going to be a little bit late, 8-ish, and I had some meds to pick up that are life, I have to have for my life, and they told me they're going to be ready at 5. I know they're always late, so I even gave them 3 hours and said 8-ish, okay? So I get over there and they're not ready, and they weren't even ready until almost 8:45-ish. Then I get home and I turn everything on. I think I'm just going to start broadcasting, and the it doesn't see my camera, it doesn't see my mixer, no microphone, all this stuff. I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here? So after messing around for 30 minutes, I decided I'm just going to put my backup camera in, turn everything else off, put my backup camera on, and just go. And hope that I'm not too late for everyone. So here I are. Yeah, well, yeah, Every once in a while, my wife makes me take a shower, Just how it is. I don't like to, but she makes me do it, Every so often, I gotta take one. How's it going, Rob? Yeah, did you guys like that interview? It was pretty good, huh? I thought it was good. I talked a lot, but I talk a lot all the time anyways. If you guys are my friends, you know me very well. I talk a lot. Unless I'm on Jeffrey's set and we're doing his show, then he talks a lot and I just sit there going, yeah. Just kidding, just kidding. Don't kill me, Jeffrey. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was pretty good. We're going to do another one and go do more of a deep dive into the RSD, because I talked about everything. I'm like the chief rabbit hole running down. They should call me Chief Rabbit Hole, because I can run down any rabbit hole and stay down there for a long time. Don't come up for air for a week. It'll be a rabbit hole running dude, man. Yeah, but only tonight. I might as well jump into it, unless you guys want to ask me some more questions about anything. I could jump right into. Yeah, it was hot. It was 104 here and probably about 21% humidity. I know that's not a lot to some people, but for us, that's a lot. It was really hot, really hot. And that's one of the reasons my wife made me take the shower. Yeah, so, I've been reading this book. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see. If you ever want to know anything about Cherokees, this is the book, okay? And it's a thick one. It's like a Bible. It's a big boy. But in this book, it talks about Tsul Kalu, and that's what I want to talk about. Now, nobody knows how long ago that this story of Tsul Kalu came out, but it's like a legend or a myth slash legend in the Cherokee Nation, and it made it into this book. So 72% humidity in the Philippines. I would die. I would just stay in the swimming pool. You'd have to get me a swimming pool, and I would just lay in it all day and night, probably. But I picked this book up, and there's a lot of cool stories. And I actually did a video about Tsul. I read the whole story of Tsul Kalu a while back, probably maybe a year and a half ago or more. And it was a bedtime story that I did. But I was listening to some videos, and I was doing some research today on Bigfoot, and a couple of things struck me as it's the same thing that the Cherokees talked about Tsul Kalu. So I highlighted. I took my wife's highlighter thing, and I highlighted some things. I don't know if you can see the highlight. Yeah, there you go. You can see it. I highlighted some places that I wanted to deep dive into or compare to today's Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that. So, you know, what this story is about basically is a Bigfoot decide like this. Let's see what she calls her. What she calls her. Widow lived with her one daughter at the old town of Canoga on Pigeon River. Pigeon River. So everybody should know about that. That lives over in the south. The girl was the age to marry, and her mother used to talk to her a good deal and tell her she must be sure to take no one but a good hunter for a husband, so that they would have someone to take care of them and would always have plenty of meat in the house. The girl said such a man was hard to find, but her mother advised her not to be in a hurry and to wait until the right one came. So then along comes Tsul Kalu, okay? So along comes Tsul Kalu. And I guess he's been in the woods, you know, like Bigfoots do, checking out the women, okay? And so he's checking this chick out, and he decides that that's going to be his wife. So he goes and he says, it says the mother slept in the house while the girl slept outside in the Aussie. And I don't know exactly what an Aussie is. I didn't look it up. I probably should have, you know. Maybe you guys know what it is. It's an ASI. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But this Tsul Kalu, he only comes along in the night. All right? It says one dark night. A stranger came to the Aussie wanting to court the girl, but she told him her mother would not let her marry anyone but a good hunter. And well, said the stranger, I am a great hunter. Okay, so we all know Bigfoot's great hunters, don't we? So this thing might have been written 700, 1,000 years ago or something like that, and then passed down through the ages. and it like runs parallel with the Bigfoot that we know today, especially after all the research that I've done, and Jeffrey and all of us out there in the field. I'm not just tooting my horn. There's a lot of people out there researching Bigfoot, and I I think we'll all agree that there's certain things about Bigfoot that we don't understand, but we know that a lot of them have some things in common, especially like out here. And one of the things, they're great hunters, okay? Like I found out myself that they're great hunters. Hi, Meg. How are you? And you don't have a wrench. I'm going to take care of that right now. Let's see if I can find the chat. Yeah, so we all know that Bigfoot they're great hunters, right? And gee, I got a whole bunch of windows open. Okay. So in the story, he comes again the next night, right? This is the first night. He tells her he's a great hunter just to get in the door, I guess. And he comes back the next night, and he brings some deer, like 2 deer, full on deer, it says. And he came again the next night, and this time he left 2 deer outside. The mother was more than pleased, and this time he left 2 deer outside, and the mother was really pleased. She goes, "I wish your sweetheart would bring us some food. I wish your sweetheart would bring us some wood." Now, wherever he might be, the stranger knew their thoughts. Wherever he might be, the stranger knew their thoughts. How many people have, when you're doing your research in Bigfoot and you realize that Bigfoot knows your intentions, okay? And even people say they mind speak, or they can read your mind, okay? So he says wherever he might be. So wherever he might be, wherever, the stranger knew their thoughts. So when he came to the next time, he said to the girl, "Tell your mother I have brought the wood." Okay, so he heard him talking, and the mother was saying, "I want some wood." He goes, "I have brought the wood." And when she looked out in the morning, there were several great trees lying in the front of the door, roots and branches and all. Okay, so now recently, there's been video of Bigfoot or something, okay, running up, pulling trees out by the roots, and then running with the tree, and you see the tree going, but you can actually see a human type being run up and with one yank, and I think one arm, pull up the tree, roots and all, and then run off with it. And then in one video it looks like, to me, like it grabs the tree that's in the ground and then chucks it like 60 yards, right? Yeah, I've read this story a long time ago as a bedtime story, but what I want to do, what I'm doing tonight, is I'm comparing this Tsul Kalu to the Bigfoots that we know about and the things that we know about Bigfoot. And I'm saying that These guys are writing about a real Bigfoot. What? Ghost Wolf, you're in the hospital? Bro. I'll be praying for you, bro. So what I'm doing is comparing this story. I'm not going to read the whole story. I'm just going to read certain parts that I think relate to the Bigfoots that we know today, that we research today. And it doesn't matter where, Russia, anywhere in the United States, they all have these certain things in common. And they wrote about it in the Cherokee book here, or really it was a passed down oral history until this guy, James Mooney, actually wrote about it. And from what I understand, he even wrote this in 1891. Okay, so this book was written in 1891. So that's when the story of Tsul Kalu was first written down. But it was a story that they all told. And there's lots of stories in here. The creation of the world, how they created the quadrupeds, right? Four-legged animals, the birds, all that. The universe, the Milky Way. It's all in here, all these stories, you know. But only I'm going to stick with this one. It's not a long story, but it has some posts that is better, you know, like the same as the Bigfoots we have today. And then Killed by Bigfoot, they're cleaning up the fluoride. Trump is cleaning up the water. He's stopping the chemtrails and stopping the fluoride going in the water. He's cleaning it up. So it won't be long and we'll be drinking. He actually said on the 4th, if you go back and listen, he said we have the cleanest water and the cleanest air in the world. And what he was doing was he was giving a mark or telling the military, go get them. And they've been busy doing that. So that's an interesting thing. You might check into that, you guys. Listen to Trump's speech on the 4th where he talks about it. Cleanest water and the cleanest air in the world. And what he was referring to was chemtrails and fluoride. Take that to the bank. Okay. So the old woman, she got all angry about that, right? And he heard in his mind that she was angry, and the next day he took the wood away. Trees with roots and branches, great trees. When we went to the spot, when I went to the spot the first time, they left a telephone pole in the road long ways. A huge tree. It took 5 of us just to push it off the side of the road, and with very much difficulty. Okay, 5 guys, and we had a hard time getting it off the road. Sure, I hear you, Finn. That's true. Hey, Sword Point, how you doing, brother? But he may be whatever you say, but like if we're gonna go on a Trump thing, I only got one thing to say about Trump. We don't want no other person in there. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We don't want any other person. There's no other person that can't be bought and will stand up to China, trash all these deals that's been bad for us when they got signed. He is good for us. So what? He's not a politician. That's what we needed, was a no politician. I'm serious. Politicians have done nothing but take all our factories out of the world, chemtrail us, put fluoride in the water, take all our technology and put it in every other, in China, and ruin the United States. And if you want to see what happens if you're going to be one of them, go stay in San Francisco or Chicago or Baltimore. But he is what we need right now. And he's going to take the freaking Federal Reserve down. And I always, the banksters and the big corporations, they need to be taken out. He's the art of the deal. He's taking them out, you guys. He's taking them out. You could say that if you want to, but only there's people getting arrested left and right. Maybe you might be right, but it looks to me like he's doing everything for America to me. Okay, so back to my Tsul Kalu. That's what I'm really talking about, not Trump. Okay, you guys, and I don't like making everything about Trump. Okay, like whatever you talk about, it's Trump. Oh boy, big whoop. Okay, I have done my research too. In fact, if you know me, you know that I've been researching this stuff for over 10 years and talking about it, conspiracies and stuff like that, on the internet for 10 years. Satan stuff, child pedophilia, Donald Marshall stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of that. All kinds of stuff. I've dug deep. Satanists, like way deep. Ancient aliens. Aliens aren't really aliens. They're demons. Do your homework and find out. If you know me, you know I have. All right. All right. So back to the Tsul Kalu. Oh man. Okay. So I don't want to be trolled on my channel. If you notice, you're the only one without a wrench, Finn, and I'll sick my wrench people on you. They'll wrench you to death over here. Okay. I haven't given you a wrench yet, but you haven't proven you want one. But only I'm talking about Bigfoot and Tsul Kalu, not Trump, not all that. Well, that's for another show, okay? And I wish I could like show you all the shows that I've done, but there's a lot of people in here like Sword.9. We've interviewed him a whole bunch of times. He knows I know what I'm talking about. A lot of people have been listening to me for years. They know I know what I'm talking about. And I've researched all this stuff. So, that's right, Sword.9, and a long time ago too, bro. A long time. I got Skype on my computer again. My computer's been screwing up, and that's how I'm on this weird camera tonight. But I think I need a video graphics card, I think, and can't afford one at the moment. So I'm gonna have to put out a bunch of videos, and hope you guys help me out, and I'll buy a graphics card. But yeah, a long time ago, bro, a long time ago. I just heard that Richard Shaw passed away. I tripped out on that. That dude was a cool dude. And I freaked out when I heard Richard Shaw passed away. I remember the first time I met Richard Shaw, he handed me an elongated skull, a baby's elongated skull. If you were ever with him, and he would hand you this elongated skull, and oh man, it was really a trip. I thought it was real until he set it in my hands, and then I realized it was all plaster, But it looked real. I mean, it was the same color. It had red hair on it and everything. I mean, it looked like the ones I was seeing online. It was amazing. But yeah, Richard Shaw passed away, man, and he was young. I think he was younger than me, by a few years, couple of 3 years younger than me. That blew me away. That guy was really a cool guy. But I know you met him because you guys did that thing with L.A. Marzulli. So I know you did. Okay, now the other thing about Tsul Kalu that reminds me of Bigfoot, and why I think they're talking about Bigfoot in this thing, it says right here, almost every night, He came to see the girl, and each time he brought a deer or some other game. But still, he always left before daylight. Does that sound like Bigfoot to you? Like everybody does their investigations at night. Very rarely do you see him in the daytime. The two best sightings I ever had, I saw at night. Well, the first one was like real early in the morning. It was still dark, but it was getting light, and he ran off and disappeared. But the one over in the best other one was the Tsul Reservation, and I saw that one about 3 in the morning, and he was like not far from our tent. And when we're over at the spot, in fact, I want to do a I don't know what you call it, a plug. I want to plug my new channel. I got a new YouTube channel. It's for all my drone videos. It's called Sky Squatchin'. So go find Sky Squatchin' and sub and like and all that. It's not monetized. I found out you can't share videos of drone video unless you have a 107 license. I'm studying for it. I actually had the money for it, and I had to spend it on something else. But I studied for it. I am studying for it. So I have another channel that's not monetized, and I'll try not to make any money off it at all. I'm just gonna post videos up so I can share drone videos, and I take my I got the drone for squatching, so it's Sky Squatching with a drone, and I already have 2 videos up. One of them at the spot, okay, and the spot, that's where every night when we're there, Bigfoot throws things at us, stomps around our camp. That's where we got the DNA from. I mean, cool video right there. In fact, when I flew the drone there, I lost control of the drone for the first time, and the only time so far. I lost control of my drone, and I put some graphics up, some text telling you where I lost control of it, and you can see that it was moving on its own. Not a lot, but something was controlling it. And then all of a sudden it said, going home, going home. It has a go home thing. And I don't know if whoever was controlling it sent it home, or if it realized it lost connection and wasn't going to get the connection back. All I know is me and Jeff ran under it. It was only like 75 feet, away from us. Even though it was 380 feet up, it was only 75 feet away. So, I mean, we ran right under it, but I never got control of it. I couldn't make it move. I couldn't make it do anything. But it was moving the camera and doing all kinds of stuff, and then it flew back and landed right smack on the landing pad. That video's there, and then on the back end of it, I added 2 videos that me and Adolf took just a couple weeks ago in Reedley, where we've been getting reports of Bigfoot for probably like 4 years now. Lots of Bigfoots, 5 Bigfoots, and they run all from, I know they go further than Reedley, and into the valley, and then they also ran all the way up Avocado Lake to Pine Flat Lake. You can look at all that on a Google map, find Reedley, Avocado Lake. You can follow that river. The Bigfoots follow the rivers. That's why I said in one of my videos just a couple of videos ago, if you want to find Bigfoot, follow the waterways. And it doesn't have to be in the mountains either. They'll find you. If you keep going out there, you'll find Bigfoot, or they'll find you. Yeah, they want to ban them. They want you to get that license so they already can track you with it, with the GPS. They know where you fly, how high you fly, everything about it. Good night, Winter. Love you. Yeah, I think all the way to Kingsburg. I think even beyond Kingsburg, Hanford, all the way out there, way out there. Yeah. So what I was tripping out on was every night he brought deer. Right. Now we're gonna get into the really weird stuff, and I don't really know. Wow, thank you guys for subbing my Sky Squatchin channel. Uh, the grandkids came up with that name, so I thought that was a good name. I'm going to use it. So this is where we get in. This is where we get this story gets weird. What is the difference between a Bigfoot and a Sasquatch? Just a name. I think they're all the same thing. I'm pretty sure. Like every tribe has a different name for it. So, like northern, up in Canada, I think there's Sasquatch, and actually the Bigfoot's the white people made that name because they were finding tracks and they were calling it Bigfoot, and they had a sighting, and I think it actually got coined by Bob Gimlin and Bob Patterson, or whatever his name was, Patterson and Gimlin, those guys, they coined that. Yeah, so this is a weird trip right here about this thing. First to show how big he is. Okay, how big he is. I don't know how big an Aussie is, or an Aussie Cherokee Aussie. I don't know how big that is, but the mom of this girl wanted to see this Bigfoot, okay, or see her man, her great hunter. So he didn't leave so early, and he was still asleep. And the mother asked the daughter if she could meet him or see him, and the daughter took her and opened up the door, and the old woman came and looked in, and there she saw a great giant with long slanting eyes. Tsul Kalu, I think that's what that means, long slanting eyes. Tsul Kalu. Tsul Kalu. He was lying doubled up on the floor with his head against the rafters in the left-hand corner at the back, and his toes scraping the roof in the right-hand corner of the door, by the door. She gave only one look, and she ran back to her house crying and saying, I don't know what, Uska, whatever. I don't know how to say it. And this Tsul Kalu, he was really angry. He got out, and he said he would goodbye to the girl, and telling her he would never ever let his mother see him again. Okay, and that never letting her see him again, that kind of goes along with my forest ninja thing, right? Hardly anyone sees him. A lot of people claim to see him, but I don't know if everybody that claims to see him actually saw him. If I saw him, when I saw him, it changed my life. I didn't go to the mountains for 6 years, and I still don't feel comfortable in the mountains. And I grew up in the mountains, totally comfortable. It was like my getaway place, my place where I could go alone and hike and walk and be with God. But only after I saw that thing, I didn't want to. I was afraid of getting too close to any rock or tree or bush. This thing was huge. I mean, like a giant. It could have reached out and popped my head off just like that, and ripped the door off your car. I mean, this thing's huge. What I saw, it was a monster, and that changed my life. I don't sleep good in the woods anymore. Now that I know they're down along the waterways, I wouldn't sleep along the river very good. I'd be wondering about that, or the lakes and stuff like that. So, yeah, so he got all mad. Well, this is where it gets really weird, and this is some stuff we don't know about Bigfoot, okay? Now, so far, all the stuff that they wrote in here about this Tsul Kalu thing matches Bigfoot, okay? Big, giant, great trees with the root ball and the branches on it, a great hunter, reading their mind, knowing what they're saying in their mind from anywhere he is, only comes around at night, leaves in the morning. I mean, that matches Bigfoot a lot, okay? So we know that, okay? Everyone knows that. Anybody that's researched Bigfoot pretty much knows. So now we get into the really weird stuff, okay? So when this dude took off, it says, soon after he left, the girl had her monthly period. There was a very great flow of blood, and the mother threw it all in the river. All of it. And then one night after the girl had gone to bed in the Aussie, her husband, now he's her husband, I don't know when that happened, came again to the door and said to her, it seems you are alone, and asked, where was the child? Where was the child? So he knows he got her pregnant. Okay, we've heard stories of Bigfoot going after the women so that they could have relation with them. I mean, I've heard a lot of Indian legends about that, talking to different tribal medicine men and stuff. So he's like, where's the child at, right? She said there had been no child. And then he asked, where was the blood? And she said that her mother had thrown it into the river. She told just where the place was, and he went there and found a small worm in the water. Found a worm? Is that what his child is? A worm? A Bigfoot's child starts out like a worm. Okay, that's weird. Okay. So if all this so far, they're right on the money about Bigfoot, is that how Bigfoots are today? Is that how they have babies? Worms? It's a worm? Okay, then it even gets more stranger. Okay. It says he took it up, this worm, and carried it back to the Aussie, and as he walked back from the river, it took form and began to grow until when he reached the Aussie, it was the baby girl that he was carrying. It was a baby girl that he was carrying, okay? So he went from the river, and it was a worm, and it stayed alive out there. Okay, that seems weird to me. So it has to be able to handle in the worm form nights and all that, and river water. He gave it to his wife and said, your mother does not like me and abuses our child. So come and let us go to my home. So they split, right? And it made the mom sad. And the brother hadn't met him yet. And so he showed up a few days later. And he was there to meet the guy, the husband. And they took off. Yeah, one tough worm, huh? So they took off. And he said, he didn't want his mom to be alone, so he's going to go find his sister and bring her back. Right? That's what he says. So he's going to bring her back. And he said that it was easy to follow the footprints. He came to a place, because they were giant, right? Of the giant. And the young man went along the trail until he came to a place where they had rested, and there were tracks on the ground where a child had been laying, and other marks as if a baby had been born there. Okay, so now there's there's a place where the baby was laying, and it looks like another baby was born. That's what he found in the very first place they rested. So I don't know, like, how far this thing can go before it rests, and if it carries the child and his wife, or whatever, his woman, uh, he probably could go pretty far. I mean, he's big, and if he could carry big trees with root balls and everything on him, then he would walk all night and all that stuff, and probably rest in the day. Wouldn't you think? Something like that. So he went along the trail and came to another place where they had rested, and there were tracks of a baby crawling and another lying on the ground. So now the baby that was lying on the ground and the one that was born is now laying on the ground, and the other one that was laying on the ground is now crawling. Okay, that's the next place they rested. And I'm not. I would figure, I don't know. Would he rest every night? Did he walk for a week? I mean, I don't know. Like, that's the only thing. It doesn't give you a time frame. It says he went on until he came to another place where they rested again, and there were tracks of one child running and another walking. And he followed the trail along the stream into the mountains, and he came to the place where they rested again. And this time there were footprints of two children running all about, and the footprints can still be seen in the rock at this place today. So they left their footprints in the rocks. And it was two children now, and they didn't even make it to where he lived at. I wonder how far this was, right? I mean, this blows my mind kind of thing right here. Okay? And he found one more place where they rested, and then he came to the mountains. So if you, at the beginning, it talks about, like, I might have to research this out. It was the town of Canoga on the Pigeon River. So I'm going to have to see if I can't find out where Canoga was on the Pigeon River, and then find out where the nearest mountain range was. Maybe I can find where this was. Maybe we can find, maybe today they still know where these tracks are on the rock. It says you can still see them. So then there's more, like he went and they wouldn't let him in. And they lived inside the mountain. Okay, they lived inside the mountain, inside of the rock. And when he finally was getting in there, he went through this cave door. But he said it was like a door. It was an opening you could see, but when he went through it, it seemed like a door. So could they make the rock solid like a door, so then you can't see in it? And he said when he got inside there, when he went in, finally was invited inside, the whole place, it was large, like a townhouse. Like we know, like if you look at Cherokees, they built these large townhouses, really big townhouses. And that's where they all gathered, in these townhouses. So they let him in, they told him to come inside with her, and when he went in as through a doorway. Okay, as through a doorway. Like, I don't know what they mean by that. As through a doorway. And inside he found it like a great townhouse. They seemed to be alone, so he could see all through there, and there was only him and his sister. And she calls out and says he wants to see you, right? Her brother wants to see you. That she calls out to them in there, and from the air, right, came a voice. You cannot see me until you put on a new dress. So out of the air came a voice. He couldn't see anybody in there, just his sister. That's the other thing about Bigfoots that we know, or else we think we know, but it's been reported. And I know some people, I've talked to them, and they said that the Bigfoot cloaks. So when they're cloaked, I guess they can talk, right? So their voice would seem to come out of the air when they're cloaked. So now they could read our mind, they can cloak, and they can speak into the air. They have babies that are worms. They can pull trees out of the ground, root ball and all. Great trees, it says. They're huge. Okay, everything that I know about a Bigfoot pretty much, right? This Tsul Kalu thing is pretty much sounding just like about what I know as Sasquatch, except for the worm part. Okay, I never heard that. Never heard that before. Okay, so what really was weird is, and then it was this thing. The brother he left because he was sad because he couldn't see him, you know. And some time goes on and whatever. And then he came to see his sister, and she brought him into the mountain again. Brought him into the mountain. So they live inside the mountain. I've always wondered where they live. So if this is anything like, okay, so far the Bigfoots are pretty much the same. And so this thing's living inside the mountain, and then it goes through into an opening as a door. It doesn't say it's a door, it says like a door, right? Or as a door into the mountain, and that's where they live, and it's huge and hollow on the inside there. That's trippy. So when he went back, he asked Tsul Kalu why. Oh, this is really good. I probably should have read this. The first time he says, okay, I'll let you see me, okay? I'll let you see me. This voice from the air says, you can see me. He goes, I'm willing, said the young man. So speaking to the unseen spirit. Okay, so when he's speaking to him, he calls him an unseen spirit. Interesting. Are they interdimensional? No. That's weird. Okay. All right. So it's unseen spirit. It says this thing tells him, go back and tell your people that to see me, they must go to the townhouse and fast for 7 days, and in all that time they must not come out of the townhouse or raise the war whoop, and on the 7th day I shall come with new dresses for you to put on so that you can all see me. So they have to have these dresses on, right, that he's going to bring. Hey, Night Rider, yeah, cloaked, huh? Cryptid, or is it in another dimension? Really serious? Is it in another dimension? If it's a fallen angel, it could be another dimension. Yeah, so he did everything that they said. Okay, they went back, they went inside the townhouse, the whole village, but with them was a stranger from another village, right? Somebody that would, I guess it was a friend to one of the people in the village, but it was a stranger that was with them. And it says they fasted the first day, the second day, and every day until the 7th day, all but one man from another settlement who slipped in and out every night. Okay, so this guy's breaking the rules already, whoever this guy is. Every time everybody's asleep, he leaves, and then he comes back before everybody wakes up. And he always did it when nobody was watching. On the morning of the seventh day, the sun was just coming up in the east when they heard a great noise like the thunder of rocks rolling down the side of the hill. They were frightened and drew near together in the townhouse, and no one even whispered. And then nearer and nearer came, and louder came the sound until it grew into an awful roar. Now, I've experienced the roar of a Bigfoot. It makes your insides vibrate. No kidding. And I have that recording on this channel. I know the recording doesn't do it justice, though, okay? And then it says, everyone trembled and held his breath, all but the one man that was sneaking in and out, the stranger from the other settlement, who lost his senses from fear and ran out of the townhouse and shouted the war cry. And at once the roar stopped. Roar. Okay, the roar stopped. And for some time there was silence. Then they heard it again. But as it were going further away, and then further and further, until at last it died away, in the direction of where they lived, at Sungunyi. And then all was still again. And they came out from the townhouse, but there was silence, and they could see nothing but what had been 7 days before. So nothing changed. Okay, now this is the last part that I'm going to talk about on this, and then we'll talk about this a little bit, or anything you guys want to talk about. Okay, so the brother was like disheartened because he didn't get to see him or meet him, and he went to his sister again, and she brought him into the mountain, asked him why Tsul Kalu had not brought the new dresses as he had promised, and the voice from the air says, I came with him, I had him, but you did not obey my word, but broke the fast, raised the war cry. And then the young man quickly answered, it was not done by our people, it was by this stranger. If you will come again, we will surely do as you say this time. But the voice answered, now you can never see me. Then the young man could not say any more, and he went back to Kanuga. Now, when I was reading this, I was thinking, okay, so now you can never see me. How many people never see him? A lot of people never see him. How many people do I know that want to see him? A lot of people. And I always want to see him again. But it isn't like so easy, you know what I mean? I wonder if I fast and pray in the big townhouse and I don't scream and shout the war cry when he comes out to see me on the seventh day. Makes you wonder, huh? Makes you wonder. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to bring out. I wanted to show a story that could be a couple of thousand years old at least, written in the 1900s, finally written down. This is passed down verbally for thousands of years. And then this guy, James Mooney, comes along and writes it down in the 1900s and pretty much runs right along with this Bigfoot that we know today. Only a few things we don't know, and that's like the worm. Like, is that how they have babies? The worm? Wow, man, I was tripping on that, okay? And then how fast the babies grew to be children, and it doesn't go on more on that, about how, like when they became adults or anything. It doesn't go any more of that. But I think the story maybe not. It just might be a story, but they made a story with certain facts in it, telling you what these things are and what they do and how they operate. They live in the mountain. They're spirits and they speak out of the air. They're dimensional, or they can cloak. They come out at night. They leave in the morning. They're able to pull great trees right out of the ground. They're great hunters. I know that because we found legs. Um, we never found the whole deer. We only found the leg of the deer. And I was just, after finding so many of them, I thought, man, they're just ripping the leg off and throwing it down, and they're probably tossing the deer down too, because we find several legs, fresh legs. And it made sense to me because there's no refrigerators. So in order to keep the deer meat fresh, it has to be alive until they're ready to eat it. So if they pull the leg off, the deer's not going anywhere, but it's also not dying right away. So that's how I thought. So they're great hunters, and I think they're ambush hunters, to tell you the truth. That out of all the stuff that I found so far, evidence, I think they're ambush hunters. And I think that they pull the leg off and they eat it later, but it's still fresh meat, if you know what I mean. So, so the story probably doesn't have anything to do with the grandma and the ma and the brother and all that. It's just a way of telling a story where they can include facts about Bigfoot, or in their case, the slant-eyed giant. That's what Tsul Kalu means, slant-eyed giant. And if you ever look up the video, for years, I mean 25 years, I've been trying to find the white Bigfoot. It's been reported to me by natives, two different reservations. Even my own kid and his friends saw it while they were fishing at Trimmer Springs over the back part of Pine Flat. Then I saw the video of it finally in Reedley that this guy had. Okay, and I've been looking for that thing maybe 30 years. I mean, a long time I've been hearing about this white Bigfoot, 6.5 feet tall. Okay, but I did see another one on YouTube. You can look it up, and he has slant eyes. Almond slant eyes. Almost like an alien kind of thing going on. So that, when they describe that in this book, it makes me think that maybe they're onto something with that too, But so, that's my little thing on the Tsul Kalu, and I hope you guys enjoyed that, because I did. I really liked it, and I marked it out, but I didn't really read it, and I wanted to share it with you guys that if you ever get a chance to talk to Native Americans and they will open up to you about Bigfoot, keep your ears open and maybe write it down, because it's good stuff, man. I have a feeling it's truer than true. Maybe the story might be made up so that they can put the facts in it, but those facts in there are probably true. Yeah, so. Well, according to this book, they can, and they make a worm. I'd love to see that now. I'm going to tell you the truth right now. I wouldn't mind seeing the worm. You know what it reminds me of is a kangaroo. Kangaroo has that little worm, and it crawls up into the pouch, right? So that's what that one. Yeah, you know what it is? They won't even say the word. They don't want the dogman. They call them skinwalkers, and they believe that if you say skinwalker, that it calls them to you. So they're not going to talk about it. That's why they don't talk about it. Some bear species have worms like that. Wow, that's interesting. The panda bear, I see. I wonder, is the panda bear really a bear? Or is it like marsupial, but it just looks like a bear. You know what I mean? That's interesting. I'm gonna look into that. Thank you for that. Killed by Bigfoot. In fact, I've been enjoying your videos, Killed by Bigfoot. You have some good ones, man. Really good ones, and it seems like you might be in my area too, man. We oughta get together and go squatching. Yeah, that's a really good question. Good question. Is anything really anything? You know, especially when you think about it. Okay, like this book, right? It's solid, right? But when you get out to the molecular atomic structure, it's not. It's neither are we. Neither is anything in this room. Neither is the earth. Neither is rocks. Neither is cars. They are all held together by gravitation, actually, gravity, and spinning around each other, and they have space between them. It's an interesting concept to think about. Yeah. There's a whole bunch. This one has like all the native. Look at this book. It has all the native creation stories in it. I'm not kidding. It does. And then it has like in the back, and back here, it has. I got one from my doctor because it talks about all the different tribes, and then it goes into the plant lore and herbs, medicines, and all that. So like the medicine and sacred formulas that they use for potions and healing and stuff like that. And so it's an interesting book. I believe in God and everything like that. So I'm not into their. It's almost like paganism, but I do know that any humans that get away from God, they usually gravitate to paganism. Sooner or later, all of them do. And they worship the earth and the moon and the stars and wolves and pigs and they're afraid of other animals, certain animals and stuff like that. So it's an interesting thing. And I would say the medicine part probably, some of it probably works though, because most of the meds that we have come from plants. James says you should read out of it every week. Yeah, but it doesn't have everything to do with like the kind of topics I want to talk about. Otherwise, I would. I read it a lot, but I don't. Just only the history. Like this one has the history of, and I was tripping out, man. Um, I came across it because I'm weird. I look in the title section for the chapters, and then I pick the chapters about what I'm interested in, and I don't like start the book at the front, right? I go to the chapters I'm in, especially in a book like this. I didn't want to start right at the beginning and start reading through it, so I'm like picking and choosing or cherry picking what I want to read out of it. And I got in the front here, and maybe it has it. Let's see. It talks about somebody I'm related to. The period of the Spanish exploration, right? And I missed that part, but I got I started reading it, and there's DeSoto coming in, and they write about DeSoto. My grandfather's surname is DeSoto and Spanish, and so I'm related to this DeSoto guy. In fact, what's kind of cool is I just did my ancestry DNA thing, spit in a tube and all that, and I just got an email today saying they got my tube. So I'm in the queue waiting to hear what, that I'm half Ghanaian and all this stuff. Funny. Okay, do they touch on the times when the first Western peoples came? Yes, they do. They talk about the white man, talk about the diseases and stuff like that, and they found out like the diseases were brought on intentionally, and then they got mad when they found out. Okay, they were calling them Indians, and the reason they called them Indians is because they had the white guys had been to India, all right, and it was dark people. And when they landed in America, they ran into the Indians, right? Indians. And when the Native Americans found out that they were calling them Indians because they got mad. They're not Indians, they're not from India. Okay. I found that kind of funny, you know. I found it kind of funny. Can you see the front cover? Sure. You should order it. Let's see if I can do it without a. It's a really good book. Really good book. I bought one from my doctor because of the sacred formulas. He's Native American also, but only he's Creek, I think. I can't remember exactly, but he's a DO, so they're into like holistic health and stuff like that. And I thought he might enjoy, because like this much of the book is sacred formulas, and I thought he might enjoy that. I read kind of a little, I skimmed through that part, but I'm not really into the that stuff. If I didn't really see anything that made me want to go out and pick leaves and stuff. And then I don't live in the right part of the United States either. It has some maps. Let's see. Oh, look, I got something in here. What is this? Oh, it's when I opened my restaurant in Shaver Lake. It was called the On the Way Cafe. And we put a barbecue out there and we sold sandwiches. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know, man. I clipped that out and put it in this book, huh? But I had a restaurant up there and I made about $3,000 a day selling sandwiches, barbecue sandwiches. And we called it the kids named it, just like they named the Sky Squatchin. They named it On the Way Cafe because it was on the way to what year was it? Let me see. I think it was like 1999 or something like that. But they named it On the Way Cafe because it was on the way to the cabin, on the way to the lake, on the way home. You had to stop because it was On the Way Cafe. August 28th, 1996. You can see, like, we have the sign, barbecue special, $5.99, On the Way Cafe. I don't know if you can see that. On the Way Cafe. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? I'm a mountain boy. Grew up in the mountains, opened businesses in the mountains. I raised all my kids in the mountains. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't barbecue very many Bigfoot though. We would have barbecued some worms because we had a worm farm also. Besides the sandwich shop, we had a worm farm, and we grew millions of worms, of worms, and we actually were making about 10,000 a month selling worm shit, poop. Worm poop. Yeah, worm poop. I didn't say worm shit. I mean poop. Yeah. It was the good shit, though. You know what I mean? And I would sell a big bag or a little bag, and it was the good shit. Yep. People would come over and say, "Hey, man, I want a big bag of the good shit." And I would say, "Yeah? Sure you don't want two of them?" No, I never sold one worm. No, boy, I take that back. I never sold any worms for bait, but I would give them away to my friends for bait. But I would sell, a tub, like a storage tub that you get from Walmart, plastic bin tub, $5, whatever, at Walmart. I would sell you one of those full of worms for $1,000 with a little pamphlet telling you how to grow them and how to sell those shit. And so I sold a lot of those. I would probably make around 800 or 900 a month just from that. Uh, or wait, no, 8 or 9 thousand a month just from selling that. And sometimes I would make a lot more because I average about 11,000 a month selling the shit and the worms. And I didn't sell the worms like every month. So I sell the castings every month. I would run out every month. I never ever found out how many castings was enough castings. And we had 50 4x8 bins that we made and that were 2 feet tall. And then we had, I'm saying, maybe a little over a dozen fruit bins. There were raisin bins that they used to put raisins in. And that's how many we had. And they actually they breed crazy. Okay, you only need one worm because they can do their self. They can actually, when you say go screw yourself, they could do that. But in the summertime, they would double their numbers about every 30 days. And in the wintertime, they would double their numbers every 45 days. And they have 10 hearts, and they have orgies. Like I would take watermelon and cut it in half and then bury it almost all the way, but leave just a little bit of green of the melon, sticking up. I would put cantaloupes, everything in there. They eat anything that once lived and then died. They would eat us too. But I didn't use dairy or meat products because of flies, maggots. So I just kept everything green stuff. They'll eat sawdust, paper plates, newspaper, wood chips, anything like that. But what made the best shit was horse shit. So horse shit made the best worm shit. So they would process it, and then when the worms would poop it out, it would turn into these little teeny little casings, kind of like, or little, I don't know what you would call it, capsules, and they would have a mucus on it. So you could put as much as you want on your plant and it won't burn it. If you put any fertilizer, any other fertilizer on a plant, it'll burn the plant. You put too much. You could grow the plant straight in this stuff and it won't kill the plant because it's nature. The plants, the worms, they have a symbiotic relationship for millions of years. So they don't hurt each other, right? The worm does not hurt the plant, and the plant won't die from the worms, and the plant won't poison the worm or anything like that either. Yeah, castings. What I did was I had my friend make a trommel that turned about 8 RPM, and it would have two metal pieces on each end, and then in between I put hardware cloth that was 1/8 inch. Well, really, I put 1/4 inch on the first part, or no, yeah, 1/8 inch on the first part, and then 1/4 inch on the last half, and then we made it where it came out like that on the end. So it was flared on this side and it was flared on the other side, so it was easy to scoop in. And we would just run it through there. And if it was real wet, you kept it level or more level. But if it was dry, you would angle it down so it would go through faster. And that's how we did it. Yeah, he probably was selling bait with the the fridges, because you could keep them in the fridge and it keeps them longer in the cups. But I mean, we had I thought about it like uh, so a 4x8 by 2 foot high bin. If you took half the worms, okay, half the worms every 45 days or 30 to 45 days, and you baited it, you cupped them up at 15 to 20 worms in the cup. You always want to give everybody more, right? More worms. You'll say by the dozen, but if they counted them, they'll get 15 or 20. And so it's like $2 a cup. You could get 15,000 cups every 45 days and make $2 a cup. So that's $30,000 just off one bin. But I never could sell a worm. You know, never could. Not like that, anyways. But I could sell the shit out of the shit. Sure could. Yeah, it's pretty trippy, man. It's a good side business, man. If any of you guys have enough area to grow, to have like 3 or 4 bins, and it doesn't freeze solid where you live, you can make some good money doing that. Really good money. I'm not kidding at all, because you don't even have to really sell the shit. You do it like drugs. You give everybody a little bag. You just get a little sandwich bag and put like a 1/4 ounce or 2 fingers or whatever in it, and then you give it to them. You tell them this is really good shit, and they put it on their house plants. 3 or 4 weeks later, they will not recognize their house plant. Even if it was 10 years old and been growing in their house for 10 years, they would not recognize it. And they'll be back and they'll be like, where can I get some more? I go, well, I have the little bag and the big bag. And it's really good shit. And they're like, oh, it is good shit. I'll take 2 little bags. Then they come back like a month or 2 later and they're like, man, I want 2 big bags. Does it work on roses? Like, yes. Put like 4 cups right around the rose and you won't even recognize your rose bush. Put it on your grapes, on your fruit trees, everything, anything. And it'll grow like a harvest on fruits, 150% more fruit, bigger, heavier weight, more sugar, everything. I mean, like, good shit. Really good shit. I don't know. Carnivorous plants, they get their food from like meat, flies, bugs. I don't know. Like, do they eat through the roots? I don't know much about carnivorous plants. And you can get the worms online real cheap. Buy like 5 pounds and start them in a little tub. And then when it'll take them a little while to fill the tub up. But once they fill that tub up, you split them into another tub. So now you have two tubs. And then it won't take 45 days, 30 days. And then they'll fill both those tubs up and go get 2 more tubs. Yeah, 2. And then split those 2 tubs. Now you have 4 tubs. The next time you need 4 tubs. So then you'll have 8 tubs. When you get to 8 tubs, build you a 4x8 by 2 foot bin. And then you throw those 4 tubs in there. Never put any dirt. No dirt. Use peat moss or coconut coir, or however you say that. And just soak it and then drain it a couple times so that it's moist and then use food scraps, garden clippings, napkins, paper plates, paper bags, horse manure, cow manure, any manure, rabbit manure, I mean, anything like that, and throw it in there, and they'll eat it up. They'll absolutely eat it up, and they'll make you so much money. And then here's a point, here's something that I didn't do, that I didn't know at the time, but I was helping some other people, and they were making tea out of it. And they were taking a paint strainer, a 5-gallon paint strainer, putting 4 cups of castings in it, and then putting it into a 5-gallon bucket and letting it soak for 5 days. And every day they would go out and stir it. And then they were telling people to bring their milk jugs, 1-gallon milk jugs, and they were selling for $10 a gallon. And the people would go home and water their plants. And what's cool about it is, like, the castings, you have to wait until they use it up. It takes a while for the plant to consume it. But it doesn't take long at all when it's a liquid. It goes quick. So they're back for like 5 gallons every other day or so, right? And oh my God, you can make a lot of money like that. And your castings last longer because they're, you're mixing 5 cups instead of selling them, 30 pounds or whatever. Or, a yard or a cubic yard or 2 cubic yards or whatever it is. Yeah, I bet they do. I know that they also put like big salmon. They bury it a certain depth underneath the seeds, and then as the pumpkin grows, when it hits that fish under there, it hits like a super growth, and all of a sudden the pumpkin goes, because of that fish that's under the ground, buried under there. Well, you guys, I gotta go. It's getting late. My wife already came in 3 times. She learned already not to come behind me and lay down. That freaks her out to be on camera. But I can't do anything about it at the moment. And I guess this setup works all right, huh? I like my other setup better. I'm gonna work on it. Something's wrong with my computer. I think it's the graphics card. Graphics cards are so freaking expensive for a good one. And I hope it doesn't go out, because then I won't be able to edit or do the drone video or anything. It'll be kind of bad. It's for the plants. You water the plants with it. And you could actually, like with the castings, you mix the castings with potting soil, and it's 3 parts potting soil to 1 part castings. Same with the tea. You go home and it's concentrate, so you mix it 3 parts water to 1 part tea, and then you water your plants. And they will go nuts with that stuff. Absolutely nuts. You'll be killed by worm shit, bro. Oh, that's too funny. You never know, though. Might make your, put lead in your pencil. Oh, man, I better quit. All right, you guys. You have a really good night. I'll be back in a couple days. I want to go out and do some drone footage here, the next few days also. So be looking for drone videos and up in the hills, because I'm going to be squatching with that drone. That's why I got it. Maybe I can scare up a Bigfoot. I know where they're at, so I know that I can scare them up. But you guys all take care. Ghost Wolf, man, it was good seeing you. I hope you're better. I'll be praying for you, brother. And Swordpoint 9, man, I'm going to get a hold of you on Skype if you're still on there. I put it on the other day, but I haven't logged into it. But I'll see you guys in. And Killed by Bigfoot, I'll be binge watching your videos. Good night, Cryptid. Everybody, I love you guys. I pray for every single one of you guys. You know that, don't you? I pray for you all, every single one of you. Blessings to your family, health, wealth, and pray for me too, for my health especially. And we'll see you on the next video. Love you all.